Salam alaikum, Karachi. Kaisi ho, MADsemble. Good to see you all. Wonderful to be here. It's a big stage, I'll walk. So hopefully I can refute some of what Alex just said. That was quite alarming, a bit dystopian, possibly true. We'll come to that. And going back to Assad's chart earlier, the Gartner chart about the innovation adoption, there's another one that looks the same for attention, and at this point I'm pretty much in the trough of disillusionment. For anyone that's ever pitched with me will know we think about this. Everyone still good? Everyone here? More importantly, does everyone know who Willy Wonka is? Yeah, we're good? Okay, so we'll get a bit more technical now. There's two versions. There's the 1971 version, Mel Stewart directed with Gene Wilder. Who knows this? We're going to give away the analog natives and the digital natives now. Okay, so few people know the original. Then there's the 2005 version, which was Tim Burton with Mr. Johnny Depp. Few more for that. Okay, that's good. Doesn't matter if you don't know it. It just means you won't be able to follow the presentation, and I'll spoil it for you if you ever watch it. But if you do know it, it helps, okay? So my talk, I forgot to introduce myself, Assad did. I'm Dan Shepherd. I actually came to Dubai, very large part because of this man about 8 years ago. He interviewed me as the client to come and work at PhD to work on the Unilever business and came to lead that in the digital capacity. And he's very much responsible for bringing me here today to Karachi, which he's always promised to do and for which I'm very grateful. So that's that. So I'm the head of strategy and product, PhD in MENA. And I'm going to talk about the golden ticket. So for those of you that know the film, those of you that don't, simple conceit, Willy Wonka is an enigmatic chocolatier with his own factory of dreams where he makes incredible chocolates, ships them to the world, but no one's ever seen inside that factory, okay? So what he does is he hides 5 golden tickets, puts them in chocolate bars and distributes them all around the world for kids to find, and 5 lucky kids and their guardians get a visit to the factory to see all the wonders that are within. So in itself, it's a pretty good marketing ruse, and I'm surprised more people haven't done it. But that's not really what I'm here to talk about. So Assad's brief was relatively simple. He said, look, we're going to talk about generative AI. He said, can you come and from your position as strategy leader at a media agency, can you tell us, can you predict what impact this is going to have on our industry? Very easy, okay? So I'm going to make some predictions. That's going to help you guys to change your North Star as an organization. How do you pivot? We spoke about pivoting, spoke about transforming teams. How do you set your North Star so your organization can thrive in this new world? And those two together, that's the golden ticket. Get those two things right. You're looking at years, decades of marketing success. You're going to be off to Cannes with Ali. Promotions, pay rises, the whole shebang. Straightforward, yeah? Everyone cool? Strapped in? Cool. Mr. Wonka himself. Okay, unfortunately, I'll level with you, we've got a problem. And that problem is me. I'm super irrational. I'm not the most logical person in the world. I'm unpredictable. Don't know what's going to happen next. Might just go and sit on the edge of the stage, have a little break, look at all your lovely faces. I can get quite emotional. I'm welling up a bit now. I'm biased. I like what I like. I'm a product of my environment and how I grew up. And in case you hadn't guessed, I'm quite sentimental. The fact I'm nostalgic about a film that came out just before I was born should give that away. And so if you haven't guessed it yet, I am a human. And lots of us, I hope, share these qualities. And so Assad, I'm afraid I'm not the best person to make predictions for the future about the impact of technologies. You'd have been much better off asking a computer. particularly a computer powered by AI. And the simple reason is because that's what they're good at. That's what they were designed for. They're good at massive amounts of computational dog work. They can take huge data sets, model off the back of it, and give very reliable predictions about what will happen in the future. And that's where AI can come to our aid. We'll actually go back to 1971 now and see it. Imagined AI in action in the first Willy Wonka movie. So when they asked an AI computer system the location, can it predict the location of those 5 golden tickets?
And as time passes, the men who seek them become more and more desperate.
Gentlemen, I know how anxious you've all been during these last few days, but now I think I can safely say that your time and money have been well spent. We're about to witness the greatest miracle of the machine age. Based on the revolutionary Computonian law of probability, this machine will tell us the precise location of the 3 remaining golden tickets. It says, I won't tell, that would be cheating. I am now telling the computer that if it will tell me the correct answer, I will gladly share with it the grand prize. He says, what would a computer do with a lifetime supply of chocolate? I am now telling the computer exactly what he can do with a lifetime supply of chocolate.
Okay, so AI, as it was imagined in 1971 for Willy Wonka. Now, in some ways, it's fairly accurate in that... Can everyone else hear the blowing? It's raining. Oh, wow, okay. Unpredictable. I like it. So we'll go with the rain. So quite an accurate representation of AI in the sense that he automatically refers to the computer as a man. So there's lots of biases in the data sets they were taking in. It's not too pure. But one level where it's actually ahead of us was that the computer had a moral compass. It had some sort of sentience, didn't want to cheat, didn't want to help this guy out and let his dark overlords find the ticket and not go to children. So the computer had a conscience. Things have changed a bit since then. So we've seen ChatGPT. And because I'm not good at this kind of things, I'd referred to it in preparation for this session. I'd put in a simple prompt saying, I'll paraphrase because it's very small on here and my writing's very slow, but something to the effect of, please could you prepare me an introduction? I'm going to Karachi to speak to the wonderful people at MADsemble 2023 about generative AI. Could you give me something to say to them by way of introduction? And I think we've covered the power of ChatGPT so far, so I won't dwell too much. It took me a long time to type this out. It takes ChatGPT a lot less time to come up with a pretty good answer. And it said to the effect of, good morning / afternoon, evening, and a warm welcome to MADsemble 2023 here in the vibrant city of Karachi. It's a true pleasure to stand before you today and share insights on a topic that's been reshaping the landscape of marketing and businesses as a whole, artificial intelligence. And I think you can probably get the gist. So AI has evolved from 1971's imagining. The key thing that's changed, go back to that video, is that the chap who's inputting those questions is punching an old Siemens computer with these big blocky buttons. Okay? And what he's effectively doing is he's coding his input. He's obviously a tech boffin and he knows how to do this, and that's how he's working. The fundamental change that's happened and that enables this is that we can now talk directly to AI. We don't need to code. We don't need to hit big chunky buttons. We can discuss, as we normally do, straight to the AI. And that's the game changer. And not only do we get to speak to them so simply, it's easy because they do it in our language. and we don't have to learn theirs. That's the fundamental shift. So we're quickly going to learn how. We're going to jump into the classroom very quickly. I promise this isn't too onerous. Asad touched on this earlier. AI is a huge subject, and it kind of makes up lots of different components. It's not one thing. It's got lots of different elements. The two I want to focus on particularly here are something called NLP. It's natural language processing, and its partner in crime, NLU, natural language understanding. And it's these two areas, particularly of AI, that have come on leaps and bounds in the last few years, and that's what's brought about this change. So the processing is the AI's ability to recognize human language, human text, images, and then codify it in a way that it can work with. And natural language understanding builds on top of that, and it's the computer and the AI actually understanding, not feeling necessarily, but understanding what we mean in any given circumstance or context. So it'll know if we say something, what it is that we're getting at. It doesn't just see it as words, it knows what we're trying to get to. And taken together, OpenAI, really the most famous and earliest kind of pioneers in this, we consider it as something called a large language model. So terabytes and terabytes and lines of data that they bring together, NLU and NLP, to be able to converse with us, just like we're kind of conversing at the moment, but with less rain. Cool? So hopefully not too complex, but just I think it's good to understand why we got to where we got to. And this is obviously, well, it's very loud now. This is obviously going to profoundly affect us. It's a dramatic shift forward. We've seen with what Alex presented, there's no way that this cannot impact our lives. It really is an inflection point. I wanted to kind of boil down 5 ways it's going to affect us from an agency and a client point of view. But also, me and Alex have been talking a bit over the last 24 hours. I'm a bit more of a Panglossian optimist than Alex, so we might have agreed that I'm a pessimist masquerading as an optimist. But I think we can adapt to get the best from these new advances in AI, and we'll have a quick look why. So across the areas of image, which we've touched on, voice, platform, creativity, and even reality itself. So the big question for us is, what are we going to do about this? How are we going to adapt to this new paradigm? Image on the screen, akin to what Alex showed, who probably dismissed this, but this generated, it wasn't by me, probably features some of our clients, and it's a kind of, to your art history point of view, I see it as a sort of Spanish, sort of Velasquez, maybe a bit of Goya influence in this kind of brand hellscape with McDonald's and Pepsi. And the weather couldn't be more perfect for this chart, actually. Pepsi and McDonald's and this kind of hellish hellscape. And that was created using prompts on Midjourney, so a visual creative AI. And I think this is great. So I think that these tools should be adopted within agencies. I think it can benefit our people. I think it can help us get to concepting quicker. I think it can help to agree with clients what it is that they'd like quicker. And then you can really unleash the power of your creatives to take that to a higher level. So rather than, you spoke in the chart earlier about 6 to 8 weeks for a TVC, it's still rushed. With all the parts of the process, it still takes a lot of time. This can speed that up, so actually you hopefully get more Cannes-winning TVCs off the back of this. But it means we need to retrain our people. Again, they need to become fluent in AI instruction. So absolutely, you have to get better at telling these tools what you want. Same with Google Search. Everyone can search on Google Search, but some people are very good at it, and they get better results. Same thing, and also know your history. As an example of runway in this video, so Alex mentioned it, might see how this is going to transform your lives.
This is a box, a magical box. This box can make any idea real.
So that's not less creatives for me, that's more. So if you think what they can make with a box of crayons and PowerPoint, unleash them on this, and we should be going to Cannes more often. Secondly, voice. Now, voice has been here for a little while. It's nothing particularly new, but increasingly it's going to be required. Now that we can speak the same language as computers, coding, creating skills on the likes of Alexa, Google Home, it's going to become much easier. They'll have much more uptake, especially as the large language models that we discussed move from English and start to come into Arabic, into Urdu, and it opens these things up to much greater populations. And so again, you need to be retraining your tech people to be able to code voice. They need to work out how your algorithm will speak to a brand algorithm will speak back to your virtual personal assistant. So brands won't be communicating directly from a TV screen to your eyes. They'll be communicating through algos to your voice search functionality on your devices. So we need to upskill. In terms of platform, so I work in a media agency, so I talk very much here about, I think Asad alluded to it, digital biddable platforms. Again, we work across these every day. Google, Meta, Snapchat, we optimize, we use people to do it. That's crazy. It takes them months and months, or it would if we let them, to manage to optimize the number of lines of data there are that AI can do in seconds. It loves this stuff. It eats computational dog work for breakfast and leaves our humans to do other things. So companies like Pixis, and there are others, optimizing in real time all of those lines of code for your digital buys, which free up your digital people with that foundational thinking to think more strategically, to plan better campaigns, to focus on what really matters. Creativity. We've touched on this. Alex, I'm not going to say anything that contradicts you here. I'm looking at this through a media lens, so we have a data suite called Omni, a PhD in at Omnicom. We've designed an AI-led tool that optimizes your creative on the fly in real time. So this isn't generating images, but it's looking at a burger restaurant. Did someone click with the burger next to the soft drink with the logo in the top right corner? No, it didn't work, no sales. The next ad that appears swaps out the drink, puts some fries instead, changes the colors, makes it a slightly bigger logo. So that's happening now, and that's all AI powered, and the results are incredible. But it means that the team you need, this wasn't produced by our media planners. It was produced by data analysts and coders and engineers. And then lastly, the impact on reality. We saw with the Morgan Freeman video, this is going to be profound. This is going to upset, honestly, the world as we know it. I think the place we're already at, most civilized, functioning societies rely to some degree on agreeing a set of facts and then disagreeing cordially over how you react to them. I mean, those years have gone, in case you hadn't noticed. But so fake news proliferates, disinformation on social media. This is going to go bananas when you can watch live video footage of people, politicians, film stars, cricketers, musicians, and you don't know if it's real or not, and there are two opposing realities, then it's going to be a very hard world to govern. If we're still here, and we're still working in media agencies, our main job in this will be to use companies like Double Verify, Integral Ad Science, and be even more vigilant than ever on brand safety for all of our clients' brands, because it's a murky business already. This is only going to get more difficult to protect and make sure they're only in the right environments. So with those 5 impacts, it does ask a fairly profound question. Do we still need humans? And if you recognize this image, this is from the 2005 version, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So that's actually Charlie Bucket's dad on the right, Mr. Bucket. And he's worked at the toothpaste factory his whole life since he got out of school. He's just been told he's been made redundant because he's being replaced with an AI toothpaste filling machine that's obviously cheaper, quicker, will work through the night, is unlikely to unionize. And maybe this is the fate that we're all headed for. Maybe we're all going to be obsolete very soon. We're going the same way as the landline or good manners. and there's not going to be any place for us. I don't know what we think. We'll come to this. I'm not quite there yet. I want to take you back to a story that's been referenced, back to Garry Kasparov, chess grandmaster. So this is actually 1996. He plays Deep Blue for the first time in a chess battle, plays 6 matches. Kasparov actually wins 5-1. So IBM have trained Deep Blue to play chess on millions and millions of different game iterations, and it can compute 30, 40 millions of moves ahead in a way that Kasparov can't dream of. But Kasparov wins the first battle, but it's the 4th match that's interesting, because it's about even halfway through. It's fairly attritional. And that's when Kasparov does something irrational, quite unexpected, possibly a bit emotional, and he plays a deliberately stupid move, a bad move. It's not God's touch, it's not a 1 in a million, it's a 1 in a million, but it's dreadful. It's suicide. And he plays this move, and it completely flummoxes Deep Blue. Deep Blue has not anticipated this because it's bad. So it has no way to react and immediately resigns. It's a similar parallel to the Go game. Frazzled chipboards can't go on. And so this is how I think we can work well with artificial intelligence, and I'm kind of joking with it a bit, but my riposte to it is I think what Kasparov does, he acts with integrity and authenticity, and he means to do what he does, and he authentically plays a stupid move. And so I think authentic stupidity is our riposte to artificial intelligence, and it's something that artificial intelligence can't replace. I also think it's something that should be valued. So we spoke earlier, the irrationality, the unpredictability, the emotion, the bias. I think these are all good things. I think they've been kind of beaten out of corporations over the years as we've tried to be more like computers, more logical, more reliable. But actually, it's our irrationality that's helped us to innovate. It's helped us to say, you know what, I don't care if it can't be done, let's make it happen. It's our unpredictability that allows us to be unexpected, allows us to surprise and delight consumers with things that they weren't imagining they'd see. It's our emotion that translates as passion. It's why we deeply care about subjects. It's why we end up deeply caring about our teams. We care about their welfare, and through screens and across borders where we now have to manage people, this is more, not less important than it was. We have biases, but that's what makes us experts. It's what makes us deeply care about a subject like art history and have a fundamental base in it that we can draw on and use that experience for good. And hey, we get a bit sentimental sometimes. But that can also make us caring, empathetic, and compassionate to our people, to the brands we work on, and to the future of our industry. So very quickly, anyone recognize these? It's a bit obtuse. They're nodes from the computer that Alan Turing and his team built at Bletchley Park to crack the Enigma code. And I think everyone's familiar with the Turing test, or known as the imitation game, where if there's a point where a computer reaches sentience, it's because in a blind test, someone mistakes its output for a human. Now, we're in kind of controversial waters at the moment. Some people think we're there. I disagree. But I think it also gets the question wrong to some degree. I think for too long we've tried to imitate computers and not the other way around, to try and be computational, rational, to prize those things as values. And I think we're looking at it wrong. I think let computers do computers, and we should differentiate ourselves as much as possible. Let them do the computational stuff. Let's focus more on being human. Because it's those qualities that we discussed that actually give us our USP, and that's what's going to enable us to coexist with AI and do better. This chap here, Thomas Friedman, he's a political scientist, and so we plug for a book we wrote a year or so ago at PhD. We talked about shift and marketing rethink and looking at how your organization should evolve over the next 3, 5, 10 years. And I think he made a really good point in it. He says, look, machines can be programmed to do the next right thing, but only we can do it. So where does that impetus, inspiration, and momentum come from? It has to come from us, and they can serve us to help it happen. So how do these two things come together? It's quite simple for me. It's kind of yin and yang. So you've got AI on one hand. It's going to be great at concepting, getting yourself to a level really quickly where you can build and excel with your ideas. It can do all of that dog work, crunch the numbers. It can provide evidence, put it in dashboards, make it really readily available, and it can help optimize in the lower funnel. Humans come in, we can bring the originality that sparks the concepts, and then we can build on it. We can add critical thinking to that number crunching. We bring leadership to the evidence and make decisions that affect our people, our industry, the well-being and livelihoods of the people we work with in their jobs. This will have an impact. And also, to the optimizations, we bring some of that bigger, higher level strategy. So to end here, or near abouts, some good news. At the end of the film, Mr. Bucket gets invited back to the toothpaste factory, and they give him his job back. But this time it's better, because he's a supervisor for the unreliable AI robot arm, which keeps breaking down and needs to be reprogrammed, and he's on more money. And I'm going to make this up. I think his shift hours get reduced as well. So it's a great story to end on. And just the last word from these two chaps that we've seen. So Kasparov, as Assad noted, a year later in '97, they retrained Deep Blue. He came back to play Deep Blue, got thrashed, which you could have made him bitter. Could have been quite upset about getting beaten by a computer, the world's greatest ever chess champion. But he didn't. In the years that followed, he's thought quite deeply and quite intelligently about this. He's a really interesting guy for a lot of reasons. But he came to the conclusion that what we need is better humans, not less technology. And this can help us maybe. And Mr. Wonka himself, there is no life I know to compare with pure imagination. So it's not here to steal our jobs, Alex, to be continued. It's here to liberate us, and it's here to make us more human. Shukriya.